understand the big colorful picture in the pamphlet? Let me help you. You're traveling down the Murray River, and according to the red high infection zones on the map, you are not outrunning it because it's all around you. Even though the infection is everywhere, I do think that heading into the remote town is a decent option. By now, Andy and Kay have experienced the initial onslaught of the virus and have read some of that pamphlet. They should know that the zombies are slow, easy to avoid, and that the virus is transmitted through bodily fluids. Driving into a remote town would not be that dangerous. There'd be less zombies, and maybe the town has some unpicked food and supplies. It could be a decent place to hold out, have a nice cold pint, and wait for this all to blow over.
Go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
With the zombies being slow and uncoordinated, it's likely the military has successfully fought the zombies back. So I'd still make a pass by the base before spending months on a potato farm. What I don't like is that houseboat. It can barely push 5 to 6 miles per hour, which makes their journey to the base take weeks, which is not ideal when food's an issue. Not only that, but its slow speed and the need to park it each night makes it vulnerable to zombie attacks. Just jack a truck, fill it with gas from the boat, and since you can go about 10 times as fast as the houseboat, you can check out both the military base and the town before your food runs out. Andy convinces Kay to stay the course, and they continue floating towards the military base. We cut over to a little kid surviving on her own, using a rock and tree branch to simulate watching Netflix. Man, things are pretty dire. A lot of people would have hung themselves from a tree before this point. Andy spots a wrecked boat named Serendipity. You gotta appreciate the irony. He jumps on top and sticks an oar down the hatch with a mirror attached to it to see if anyone's home. Just pretty clever. I'd also bang on the side of the boat to see if I could rustle up a person or zombie lurking within. There didn't appear to be anyone in the boat, so he hops down into it. He's barehanded, which is never a good idea when looting in the zombie apocalypse. There's usually a bathroom in these boats too. With his mirror, he should have been able to see if the door was closed. And since it was closed, he should be extra cautious about a zombie sitting on the toilet. Andy hits the jackpot and starts bagging the canned food and wine, but all the commotion awakens the toilet zombie. If these were 28 weeks later zombies, Andy would definitely be dead. He hightails the goods back to the houseboat where he reveals the discovery to Kay.
You're not worried. Listen, it was a one-man job.
Legitimate reason they have enough food to apocalypse. Beer. How many hours of life you have left. Damn, Fitbits have gotten hardcore. According to Kay's, she has 48 hours until she's a zombie, though it's probably much less considering how badly she was bitten. Andy throws all containment considerations out the window and handles her bloody wound with his bare hands. Just don't itch your eye, man. Kay gives the pamphlet a second read. It says the infected cannot spread the disease until symptoms appear, which could be in a few hours. Realistically, Kay's bloody wound is already contagious, and how fast the virus takes over the body actually depends on how and where the disease was transmitted. It's not like you want to hang out until they start coughing to quarantine or dispatch them. The pamphlet also says the auto-injector makes dispatching the infected as easy and safe as possible. Oh, that needle is not a vaccine. It's a way to kill yourself. Holy shit, that needle's intense. It looks like the antidote needle that Nicolas Cage used in the movie The Rock. So you're supposed to put it up to your temple and hit the quick release button if you're infected. You know the situation's bad when the government's handing out ways to kill yourself instead of vaccines or antidotes. Andy's in denial about her bite wound and thinks a river monster bit her instead. It's pretty obvious it was a zombie though.
It had fingers, Andy! Fuck!
You know, a testing kit would have been nice to include in the containment assistance package. I know it's hard to come to terms with the fact that she's a goner, but you can't let denial lead you into making more bad decisions. It's time to say your goodbyes and auto-eject her from the boat. He wants to take her to the hospital in the remote town because he thinks that she'll bleed to death in a few hours. If on the offshoot he's right and it wasn't a zombie that bit her, he thinks the doctors could stop her from bleeding out. If he's wrong and she's infected, well, she's dead anyways. The problem is that his assumptions are not accurate. Her wound is oozing dark blood, which suggests venous bleeding. Her wound is not life-threatening, and she will not bleed out in hours. Kay's bleeding can be stopped with 10 minutes of direct pressure and leg elevation. I'd cancel that trip to the hospital, quarantine her on shore immediately so she doesn't spread the disease all over the boat, then pull out the lawn chair and watch her slowly turn into a zombie.
It's gonna be my call.
But I don't think you can cook off the fracking virus, so as enticing as it sounds, eating the fried zombie corpses probably is not a good idea. We cut back to the lone child again, who's storyboarding her next Netflix episode. She's housing and feeding a zombie too. Nice. I bet that won't be a problem later. Kay's leg wound is so severe she's hopping around, shopping for baby seats, making toys, and playing patty cake with her baby. Did you just forget that you're hours into an incubation period for an incredibly deadly and infectious disease that turns people into zombies? And maybe, just maybe, what you're doing is dangerous. Why the sweet Australian outback fuck would you touch this sick-ass yellow goop? I'm losing my patience with this chick. Andy, please dome her with the auto dispatcher already. She's going to get your baby killed. Hopefully, Kay disinfects her hand before she touches anyone else. But we know that's not gonna happen. All that stuff about communication, eye contact, weapons, and lures would have been nice to have with the zombie approaching. I'll give her some credit for the turn signal move though. Luckily, Andy receives the warning and hops in the car before the zombie catches him. I've been waiting for a chance to say that driving 55 miles per hour is the most fuel efficient speed, and saving gas is definitely a concern in the apocalypse. Feels good to get this factoid off my chest. Maybe it'll save someone's life one day. Who knows? If anything I say in any of my videos ever leads to your survival, like you were in a situation and thought, oh, Nerd Explained said this, and it saved your life, please let me know. And if my advice led to your death, well, nobody will ever know. Andy pulls over to check the map. Because Kay apparently cannot work the map while he drives, Rosie starts crying because she needs a diaper change.
I'll do it.
No, it's fine.
Why would you let her do it? Kay is hours into an infection, and she'll be showing severe symptoms any time now. She should not be around you in the car, nor should she be handling the baby and changing its diaper. She should be in the trunk, so she isn't spreading her bodily fluids everywhere. Oh my god, that baby could easily have been coughed or puked. Looks like the kid's zombie friend reached containment. Who'd have thought feeding zombies like zoo animals was a bad idea? Ooh, that doesn't look good. Yeah, I don't think she has 46 hours left.
Listen, will you just...
Don't touch me!
Finally, she gets hit with some sense, but Andy can't help himself and throws her back in the car. He starts speeding down dirt roads to get to the definitely abandoned hospital so he can salvage a few extra hours with his wife, when out of nowhere a ninja zombie shows up and causes him to swerve off the road and into a tree, totaling the truck and his wife. I'm more sad about the car at this point. As ridiculous as this was, if you're in the apocalypse with roaming zombies everywhere, maybe keep your eyes on the road. Andy faints from a panic attack. When he wakes up, he sees Save Her written in blood, and his wife, who doesn't look too good. I'm sure she'll be fine, bro. Just pull the tree stump out of her stomach and carry her to the hospital. Kay's transformation into a zombie is complete, and she bites his arm with her disgusting yellow crusty mouth. So she had time to write Save Her in her own blood, but not to auto-eject herself before she turned into a zombie with her passed out husband and baby next to her. You know, Kay, it'd be easier to save Rosie if you didn't let yourself turn into a zombie that attacked us. Andy finally auto-ejects Kay's head, putting an end to her madness. He throws Rosie into his backpack, straps on the grossly inaccurate watch, and heads out. The kid baits the zombie away from Andy using blood handprints. Thanks, but why couldn't you have done that earlier when your zombie friend was on the road that my car was driving down? Andy makes it into the town and stumbles into a lady who asks how much time is left on his watch. Not like it matters though. She offers him a spare bed, which is nice, but come on, 46 hours is only if someone sneezes on you. This guy was bit on the arm. By morning, he could be zombified. It's kinda dangerous to just have him chilling around. Off in the distance, Aboriginal tribes are shish kebabbing and frying zombies. You know, this isn't too far off from the lifestyle I was imagining at the end of the Assimilate video I did. What do you know, the hospital is derelict. I'm not sure what Andy's looking for in the hospital. It's not like there's an antidote. Though maybe he's just looking for an easier way to off himself by ODing on drugs. I don't blame him. That auto-eject is scary. Yep, there's no way this dude's making it the full 48. This man just cannot get a good shave in. He wakes up in a makeshift bed with spare clothes next to him. It's pretty clear Etta saved his ass. She tells him to go find Willie and to avoid the hunting parties that are hunting the infected. Why not tell her that Willie was a zombie, and that the best option would be to leave Rosie in Etta's care while Andy enjoyed his last moments with her, instead of hiking, fighting zombies, and risking Rosie's life even more. Andy heads off in search of the zombie dad for God knows what reason. Oh, he's trying to make it to the military base, but it looks like the military did not do so hot. Andy finds another truck to jack so he can check out the destroyed military base, I guess. I don't know what Andy's doing.
That's mine.
Gets really lucky that guy comes in with a clutch over-the-shoulder shot. Yeah, they're slow, but you can never underestimate how sneaky those ninja zombies are. The man tells Andy that the military base is overrun. Apparently, he got his leg pinned under a canister of some sort, so he offers Andy a deal. Help him, and it'll take him back to his home where his wife can help with Rosie. Andy agrees, and they haul ass before more zombies show up. Vic lives in a nice gated community, and we get introduced to his wife. He doesn't seem like her type, but then again, it's the apocalypse. Andy leaves the baby with Lorraine, and the boys go on their hunting trip. Honestly, this looks like fun. This is about as good as the zombie apocalypse is gonna get. Ooh, poor little Toomey. Toomey did inadvertently cause you to crash and get bit by Kay by letting his zombie dad loose. Just saying. Any one of those bullets could have killed the bait, which is just reckless on Vic's part. It does seem like the blood and meat work just fine, and you don't need the live bait. This guy's just doing it because he's a psycho. Even though he's a psycho, Vic is still one of the only options for securing a new home for your baby, so it's probably not wise to piss him off by expressing your disapproval. Back at home, Lorraine is playing with Rosie until she makes a terrible discovery.
At Outback Steakhouse, we're committed to serving our communities by doing what we do best, serving you and making one great steak. That's why we have curbside takeaway and delivery on Outback.com, because at Outback Steakhouse, we're here to serve you.
Maybe letting Kay play with the baby was not a good idea after all. Looks like our pal Vic drummed up some more live bait. He cranks on some jams, splashes some blood on the cage, and heads back to base to make love to his unwilling wife. Lorraine didn't seem to mention that Andy's baby is infected, which makes it even more idiotic that he's cuddling and kissing her. Andy mentioned enticing offer. It. Just before Andy buries his head in the ground like those other zombozos, Toomey comes to the rescue. They miraculously find a boat with an engine, and eventually Andy's reunited with the houseboat. Memories of Kay and the thoughts of how this could have gone down differently if she just poured a glass of wine instead. It doesn't seem like things turned out hot for the family though. You know that dude had a gun, so maybe don't sneak into their home and eat their food without knowing if they're still around. I'd yell around to see if they were home. Sure, you could attract some zombies, but I'd rather deal with a zombie than a guy with a gun. I'm also still dumbfounded that Andy has not found something to use as a weapon against zombies this entire time.
When this hurt heals, maybe this hurt heals too.
Thanks, Dr. Toomey, for the history lesson about why modern medicine and technology has rendered your culture obsolete. They find the river people, but the dead is digging a mass grave. The man tells Andy that after he offs his family with 4 bullets, there will be 2 bullets left for him and Rosie. I'd say that Andy should try to take the gun and stop him, as the wife is the best chance at Rosie being taken care of. Andy declines the offer and heads back to the boat. them. While Andy contemplates using a revolver on himself, Rosie is sucking on his bloody Fitbit. I feel like you have to really try to get this disease.
What's happened to your leaves?
Is that really what's on your mind right now? After witnessing a man murder down a dark tunnel. Unfortunately, they run into Vic again. Andy pretends to be a zombie.
For the last 20 years, DeVry's continued dedication to online learning and support has helped students reach their educational goals. DeVry, just a fingertip away.
Which is really not a good strategy. If that dude used his rifle like he did earlier to dispatch the zombies, you'd be screwed. And if the zombies woke up, you'd also be screwed. Andy should have just run up on him with a gat and emptied it in Vic's chest. Just before Vic bats his head in, Andy flips the script and opens fire. He should have fired both rounds because Vic grabs the gun and puts a hole in Andy too. Vic knocks Toomey out and in a fit of rage almost cranks little Rosie's neck sideways, but doesn't because that would have made this movie obscenely dark and disturbing. Andy helps Toomey shake off the Tweety birds so they can continue their trek to her family. He starts succumbing to the disease and gets the eye goop and flesh-eating libido. Knowing his death is imminent, they forge a new plan. So not only does the government give you a way to kill yourself, but also shackles and a mouth guard. Why? So you can tie up zombies? Toomey's fam is demolishing the zombies, but why aren't they wearing more armor? And why are they waiting until the zombies get close to kill them? Just use the throwing spears, those seem to be effective. The zombie piggyback ride is a nice flex, but Toomey definitely could have carried the baby a couple more miles herself. Seems like an unnecessary risk. The clever man was out there running zombies through too, so it's safe to say he did not have the cure that Toomey was waiting on for her dad. Andy finally finds mercy at the end of a spear, and the tribe takes his baby back to their home. The movie ends. Let's recap some of the big decisions that could have altered the course of events and see who we could have saved and whose death was inevitable. I'm pretty sure no matter what we
Hey, what's happening, Ken? This is Herb. I'm just reaching out to you from Fight Island. Hey, man, thanks for appreciating me and all that I do. You know, so right here, I give you a little glimpse of Fight Island. There's a little octagon in the back over there. And we got a little beach going on here. It's nice. So there's going to be some fights coming up soon. And thanks for appreciating me. Thanks for appreciating my contribution as an athlete to the sport. My place is a referee, and I enjoy that. And protect yourself at all times. Follow my instruction, have a good time. Hopefully I'll see you around the city, brother.
Herb Dean is possibly the greatest referee in MMA history. The man who is known for making the right calls in most fights is regarded as the gold standard for MMA refereeing, and he has been credited as the best by many news outlets and UFC president Dana White. Prior to becoming a UFC ref in 2004, he himself was an MMA fighter, but obviously that career has been completely overshadowed. So how good was Herb Dean actually? Hey guys, it's Keon, and today we're going to talk about Herb Dean. This was a video I really wanted to do because many MMA fans know who he is due to the many high-profile fights he reffed, but I'm sure many don't know about his MMA career. So in this video, we'll take a look at that, and we'll also take a look at his career as a referee. But before we get to it, as always, shout out to the Undisputed members of my Patreon. There are a lot of perks you can get as an Undisputed or so I decided to ask Herb what happened and if the stoppage was good.
So you're asking about one of my fights, Joe Riggs, great guy. Beat me fair and square. I can't whine and say it was any other thing but it. He had more experience and he was a good, strong fighter. I had a lot of fun, but he got me with a big throw and dazed me and fair and square.
Following his first pro loss, he made his debut as a UFC ref. You would think he'd stop fighting after landing such a role. But 4 months later, he came back and fought Timothy Mendoza. The two immediately clinched up with Herb connecting with some knees. Mendoza tried to take the fight down, but Herb denied it and threw more knees before securing a takedown. He immediately mounted Mendoza and threw some heavy ground and pound. Herb tried to get a hold of a rear naked choke, but was unable to do it, so both men got back to their feet. He tried to suplex Mendoza, but that was not going to happen due to his size, so he ended up just spinning out. But Herb kept the pressure going by throwing punches and kicks. He eventually took the fight down where he controlled Mendoza for the remainder of the round and almost locked in an Americana. In the second round, Herb pressed forward with more kicks and punches. All were left unanswered by Mendoza. Herb took the fight down again and threw more ground and pound. The fight got back up and both men looked tired at this point, but Herb had enough to secure another takedown. After some more more ground and pound, the ref stood the fight up again. That's when Herb connected with a big knee, followed by punches that forced the ref to step in. So I could imagine this being one of the best times in Herb Dean's MMA career. Not only was he coming off a win, but he was also a referee for one of the biggest MMA promotions in the world, which is why it comes to no shock that his next fight was more than 2 years later. He traveled to South Korea to fight Jung-Yu Choi.
T-Mobile and Sprint have merged, and T-Mobile doesn't just have a bigger network, but a better one than ever before, with scam protection built into it.
Herb opened the fight up with some kicks. He then connected with a right hand that knocked Choi down to the mat. Herb rushed in and began throwing ground and pound. This opened up a cut under Choi's eye, which stopped the fight so then the doctors could check up on it. Choi was good to go, so the fight resumed, but on the feet, which was unfair as Herb was dominating on top position. But he still found success on the feet as he continued to throw kicks. Then he attempted a takedown and got clipped with a punch on the way down. Choi was now mounted on top and attempted an Americana, but Herb was able to reverse the position. The two got back up, but Choi was taken down immediately. Herb remained on top until the end of the round. In the beginning of round 2, both men began swinging, but Choi connected with a right hand that rocked Herb and forced him to clinch. After more right hands from Choi, he got taken down. From there, Herb threw ground and pound, but for some reason, the ref stood the fight up again. The two swung wildly once more before they clinched up. This time, Choi secured the takedown and mounted Herb. From there, he attempted an Americana, and as much as Herb tried to defend it, Choi eventually locked it in, which forced a tap. 9 months later, Herb went to London, England to fight Dave Lagino at Cage Rage 22. From the start, Dave was the aggressor as he pressed forward. Herb attempted a takedown, but that was denied with ease. From there, Dave threw with a lot of volume, and this forced Herb to move backwards and throw some shots. But it wasn't enough to stop Dave's pressure. Herb attempted another takedown, and even though it was hard to secure it, he finally did and began throwing ground and pound. Herb attempted a knee bar, but was unable to lock it in. From there, he attempted a heel hook, but to no success. He remained on top throwing punches until the end of the round. It was very competitive, but unfortunately, Herb couldn't continue due to an eye injury, so the fight was stopped before going into the second round. This was also Herb's last pro MMA fight before fully committing to being a referee. His reason being that someone told him being a fighter and a ref would be a conflict of interest. So after going 2-3 as an MMA fighter, how good was Herb Dean actually? First off, I was really impressed with his kicks. I didn't take Herb as a guy who could throw head kicks at ease. He also had some respectable power in his hands and was capable of securing takedowns. And aside from his loss to Joe Riggs, which he says was fair and square, his other loss to Jung-Yu Choi was controversial in my opinion, as the ref stood the fight up twice when Herb was on top position. This gave Choi the opportunity to take the fight down himself and secure the submission. And his loss to Dave Lagino was pretty competitive before Herb had to pull out due to an eye injury. And if there's anyone I trust in stopping their own fights, it would definitely be Herb Dean. But let's say he won those fights, his record would have been 4-1, which is pretty impressive for a man who is also reffing MMA fights. But I would still give his MMA career a 5 out of 10, as we could only imagine how successful he would have been as a fighter. But that was a route he decided not to take, as he said himself that no one was going to miss him as a fighter. And that decision proved to be correct, especially with the career that he has built as an MMA referee, which is one that pays him $500,000 annually. Yeah, he definitely made the right decision. But obviously, Herb didn't get there without showing the world why he was the best ref in MMA. Some highlights that he had as a referee include the fight between Frank Mir and Tim Sylvia. It was Herb's first time refereeing a UFC championship bout. 50 seconds into round 1, Mir locked up a tight armbar that forced Herb to immediately stop the fight as he heard a snap in Tim's forearm. Even though the stoppage was protested by Sylvia, the crowd, and the doctor who said nothing was wrong, the call was then reviewed on the big screen, which showed that Tim's forearm did in fact break, but it was almost undetectable due to the camera angle. A credit to Herb for sticking with his decision regardless of the initial backlash. This call has been regarded as the greatest of all time by Dana White and many MMA fans. Another huge call by Herb Dean was in the fight between Gabriel Gonzaga and Mirko Cro Cop. Although there was some controversy surrounding his decision to stand up the fight while Gonzaga was in dominant position, that isn't remembered due to how fast Herb stopped the fight after Mirko Cro Cop got knocked out cold by Gabriel's head kick. The speed of this stoppage was crucial due to the way Mirko landed unconscious on his foot that pinned under his body in a 180-degree angle. But Herb immediately released Mirko's foot, which prevented any serious injuries. A more recent example of a good call by Herb was during the fight with Jared Cannonier and Anderson Silva. Jared threw a leg kick that dropped Silva immediately before Herb rushed in to stop the fight. Considering that Cannonier could have thrown more punches, that extra damage was avoided due to Herb's quick thinking and action. You can also say the same for when Anderson Silva fought Chris Weidman and broke his leg even worse in that fight. But once again, Herb saved him from any extra damage from Weidman. This and many more has led to Herb Dean becoming the go-to name for reffing high-profile fights. But having a resume of close to 6,000 fights as an MMA referee has to come with some controversy. And we can use Chris Weidman as an example of this when he fought Luke Rockhold. Near the end of the third round, Chris was eating a lot of ground and pound shots from Luke. Many believe the fight should have been stopped, but instead it went to the 4th round where the punishment continued before Herb finally stepped in. The damage that Weidman took in this fight could have been the reason for his following losses, as he wasn't the same fighter after this. One of Herb's most recent errors that he took accountability for was the stoppage between Ben Askren and Robbie Lawler. First off, you could say that the initial slam and ground and pound from Robbie should have been enough to stop the fight, but the real controversy was the finish by Ben Askren, who had a tight bulldog choke that forced Herb Dean to step in. Honestly, the way Robbie's arm dropped down really made me think that he went unconscious, so I would have made the same decision as Herb if I was in his position. But once Ben released the choke, Robbie immediately stood up and began to protest. Herb has also refereed fights for Bellator, and one controversial call he made was the stoppage between Georgi Karakhanyan and Bubba Jenkins. Georgi had in a tight guillotine choke and begged Herb to stop the fight as Bubba was unconscious. Now this is another hard decision to make because there was a chance that Georgie could have been lying. So Herb had to confirm himself, but that resulted in the choke being held on for longer. I can go through more examples on his controversial calls, but in general, he doesn't have as many compared to other referees, which is impressive considering how long he's been in the sport and the number of high-profile fights he's had to call. And his experience as a fighter adds even more credibility as he has a fight IQ unlike most of these other referees who have never fought before. That's why I will give his career as a ref a 9.5 out of 10. He deserves all the credit in the That's why I will give his career as
We've been serving up quality Mexican eats for over 20 years. But what does Qdoba stand for? Quickly devouring our burritos.
You need
always?
something? Have a good one.
Not exactly. Qdoba stands for.
Grenades is not getting this.
Well,
Grenades is not getting
it's
this.
not that simple. So
why would we give it to him? We're literally talking about. Loot Council in the Loot Council fucking room.
If we want to talk about the gloves, though, then why didn't I get the gloves as the only dagger rope?
All right, well,
oh my God!
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Don't tell me. 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 Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! All right, Perdition's Blade. A great item. An incredible dagger. This is again the same rolling. I would like to roll on this myself, but I will not roll on this because I will not roll on it. Peach Pit with the 25. Grenades with the 99. Grenades with the 99. You're using swords, grenades. Switching to daggers, obviously. I mean, I don't know what to do. I don't think people should roll on this shit anyway. It's like the guy, he's not playing daggers. But he won the roll on it. So here's the context here, right?
Grenades and Peach have both been loyal to the guild. They join the groups. They play a lot. They're almost always on. Realistically, it should probably go to Peach.
Yeah, I think it should.
But if you're going to honor the roles, I mean, unless roles are just cosmetic, okay, then it should go to Grenades. And if you do decide to give this to Peach over Grenades, since he won the role, then next week you need to do Loot Council. Because this shit where people roll and then...
Well, people are rolling on things that they shouldn't roll on. Like...
Okay, then do Loot Council.
Like that, it's...
I think if you decide to give this to Peach over Grenades...
I have to do Loot Council.
Okay, then do Loot Council next week. You have to. Otherwise, you need to honor the role and give it to fucking Grenades.
That's what makes sense.
This is the last time that we should do rolling gear off. After this, we need to start loot council. It's been fucking over a month. Or if you want to do rolls, then we do what we fucking argued about last week, and we say that you decide who gets to roll, and not just have open rolls.
I thought it was like an implicit understanding.
It's not. You need to say blah 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 and blah 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 roll, or you look at the best list and say, okay, this week this is going to Pete pick, and then another item goes to fucking, you know, whoever. But I mean, it's been 10 minutes on this one dagger, you know?
Yeah.
Like we need to do loot council now. So what is this situation? If you give it to grenades, he's gonna go dagger spec right now?
Well, I would assume so. I don't know why he wouldn't.
Well, ask him. Is that true or not?
Actually, you know what? It's based off of this. Grenades, what's your other dagger? If you don't have another dagger, you're not getting it. Put your other dagger in and will not be traded. If you don't have another dagger, you're not getting it. If he plant, it's in the bank.
Go to the bank.
Okay. Well, I'll loot it to myself, and we'll go to the bank. Okay, let's go to the bank. Open up the, yeah, let's go. Go to the bank. Let's get a portal. So let me explain my logic here. Is if grenades rolled, and he had another dagger, that implies that he actually did plan on going dagger spec.
True.
If he rolled and he did not have another dagger, he rolled in the heat of the moment to get an item that dropped because it could be an upgrade for him. In my mind, that's what the difference is. Give me a sec. Let me look at this here. So because I don't have another dagger, I can't use it. Fayette was using a caster dagger. What do you mean Fayette was using a caster? So you don't even have another dagger? Is that what you're saying? Like, so you don't have a single dagger. Oh, he already has Perdition's Blade. Oh, okay. Fate was using it because of its DPS. I mean, here's my here's my perspective, right? Is that if he intended to go daggers preemptively before the raid, and he actually did genuinely intend to go daggers, he would have already had daggers. But he doesn't have either of the daggers.
Okay, then he doesn't get the item.
Yeah, he didn't have either of the daggers.
Then you don't get it.
Okay, what do you guys want to do? Just give me a second. I don't really care what chat thinks. I don't know why I'm even looking at chat. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Well, look.
Yeah, this doesn't matter. What do the rogues want to do?
With you.
Can we get the rogues in Discord?
Yeah.
Let's get the rogues in Discord.
Go to the
Olympic.
Careful.
All right.
Let me go over there too. Yeah, I want to sort this out. Okay.
Okay. I think there's a lot that could be said. I think it's really cut and dry when you brought up that you should pass them to whoever rolled on the gloves in the first place, and grenades passed on the gloves. I have a feeling he never planned on going daggers. He's just being greedy. That's why I'm so upset.
Okay. Is Grenades able to get in Discord?
He said he can't hop in right now.
Okay.
So who got the... Okay, so Fate, you got the Gorehound Tooth, right?
Yeah, I already had Perdition's Blade.
Did you equip it?
Yeah, I equipped Gorehound Tooth.
I mean, already you're giving like 2 raid daggers to someone when someone else in the raid has like been trying to go daggers and hasn't been able to switch because none have dropped in like 5 weeks. That's already like pretty messed up.
Well, wait a second. Is Fate trying to go daggers?
Fate is daggers since
week 2.
So it's okay that Fate got the Gorehound Tooth. There's no complaints about that, right?
I would think it's fair that you would go 1, 1, 2, 2, but I don't know. That might just be me.
Oh,
and
you mean
you
like
got the dagger gloves? Is
well,
that
and
true?
then also
I rolled on the dagger gloves. I talked to Asvin 5 weeks ago. I've been trying to go daggers for an insanely long time.
Yeah, no, he has. That's true. And
okay, so if Fate has 1 dagger, and he already has Perdition's Blade, right?
Yeah,
Right.
he already has it, so he's not getting it.
Okay, then this goes to Peach. Just give it a fucking Peach.
Well,
Problem
it's
solved.
not that simple, because the other thing is that Ozzy also won. Ozzy was the second highest roll, and as
If
far
Ozzy wants it after all this bullshit, he can have it because he rolled higher than me. That's fine. But not Nate's.
Ozzy, do you seriously want this? I mean,
it's huge for me because I have T1 pants and gloves that I
Well
can't put on because they're
the
dagger
alliance.
gloves and swords. I have Rens right now out of necessity.
well then
I get
we'll ask
3
Ozzy
pieces
since
out
it's
of
up to
this
Ozzy. Ozzy, what do you want to do with the dagger?
According to what I've been told, like daggers are best in slot till Blackwing Lair, and then they're best in slot again in AQ. So if it's, you know,
because
if
he
it's
plays a
upgrade for
gnome,
him-
just so everybody understands, because he plays.
Yeah.
If it's an upgrade
hear
for
that
him, oh sorry, if it's an upgrade for him longer than me, I'm fine with that, right? But like what I'm saying is it's best in slot till Blackwing Lair. So like I don't really care.
Well,
I don't play your class. I'm not that good at it, but I did talk to another Fury Warrior and I asked them their opinion. They said Deathbringer is your best main hand because of Whirlwind.
Have a good one.
And
Good
CHT
day
is
to
your
you.
best offhand because it gives stats.
See you around.
And that's your actual best setup over
So-
CHT.
My source is
Safe
Alexandria,
travels.
which is the #1 warrior on Warcraft logs. I've been friends with him for a very long time. I trust that guy when it comes to warrior because he played on private.
Yeah,
server.
I definitely think it is viable for a Fury Warrior to get daggers.
Sure, that's fine. I mean, of course, that's why he's getting CHT offhand. But is it better than Deathbringer CHT? If it is, then that's fine. Like
According to what I've been told, yes.
Okay, then if you want it really badly, you won the role fair and square, and you've been showing up. You leveled up that warrior super quickly. Like the only reason you haven't been in the raids is because you were leveling him up. I get that. It is huge for me. Just it's up to
I mean, the thing is with grenades, if he did win the role, like I just it's still
Grenades
feels
is not
kinda
getting
unfair.
this.
Well,
Grenades
it's
is
not,
not getting
it's
this.
not that simple. So
Why,
he
passed on
why
the
would we give it
gloves.
to him? This
He
we're
played on
literally
the roll.
talking about loot council in the loot council fucking room.
If we want to talk about the gloves, though, then why didn't I get the gloves as the only dagger rope?
Because we talked about this when we were going over the bis list for rogues. I asked.
Yeah, but we didn't get any loot council involved.
Because I'm planning on going daggers, man. It's the overall plan. And
Listen.
you said you wanted 5-piece from your tier 1, so you said you were fine rolling on other tier pieces and getting priority on that instead.
The
Yeah,
gloves
we
aren't
didn't
bad.
get any
Get to
actual loot council in it, so I mean,
I know,
DB's
look.
telling me though that you wanted your 5-piece.
I said that if it came down to it, I'd be fine with rolling against you for the gloves.
This is why
You
we
also
should
said
have
you
done
want your
loot council
5-piece from
instead.
tier 1, right? Like, just don't bullshit me right now.
Yeah, that's true, but I can still wear gloves and still have 5-piece from other pieces. I just
Of
don't have
course.
any other pieces.
That's one more piece you're gonna have to win from other raiders to get your 5-piece when you already have a tier 1 gloves. Like you're yeah.
Well, I got tier 1 gloves
say about
first
that.
week before I was daggers.
Guys,
so that's the
keep
thing.
in mind we're gonna run MC for the next fucking year and a half probably. So
I don't know why that. I'm more worried about the purge blade, honestly. And if I get the purge blade, then I win the gloves argument because at that point I'm fucking daggers. I already have a bone scraper. I've been trying to go daggers for so long. It's sad that we haven't gotten a purge.
This is a really, really, like, it's a really weird situation because, so I'm just going to lay out all of my thinking, okay? So you guys understand where I'm coming from. Number one, I think this situation is my fault because I haven't set up a correct loot council for making decisions. So I want to say that right now and apologize that this is even happening. It's totally my fault. Number two, grenades did win the roll. Because we rolled it off, I feel bad giving it to somebody else besides grenades because he won the roll. And this is the thing that we had happen with Royson's raid, and we agreed there that if rolls happen, then we honor the roll. However,
You brought up.
let me finish. However, he's not dagger spec. He's been
Well, neither
using
is Peach,
swords.
though.
just shh.
He's been using swords. And he doesn't have another dagger. So to me, that indicates that he's not particularly invested in going dagger spec, or he would have already had another dagger to begin with. Also, giving it to Ozzy seems like a good choice because it's an upgrade for him. He's a gnome, etc. So I feel like it's either going to go to Grenades, Peach, or Ozzy. Those are the 3 people that I think should get it.
Yeah.
Because it's like whenever I call for a roll on something, the understood assumption is that you're rolling for something for your main spec.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but right before you said roll on it, you said everyone that rolled in Core on Tooth roll, which, you know, which should be 3 people: Fate, me, and.
Did I say that?
Yes. Check the button.
Okay. I'll
I
check
wasn't
the VOD
even
right now.
part of that list. And I'm
Wait,
a dagger
who?
rogue. Fate wasn't
Fate?
even part of that list.
Yes, but Fate already had it.
Well, Fate's
Core Houndstooth?
No, he already has Perdition's Blade.
Yeah, you already have it.
Okay, let me look. I'm gonna look and see what I said in the video.
I really don't.
I don't think he called for it in. For
I don't
Perdition's
think
Blade.
this should go to grenades, man. Like he's not prepared at all for this.
He passed
And he didn't
on
get
the
the
gloves. He passed on them. He didn't even try and roll on them. That's so important.
Wait, so
Like,
Grenades
these
passed
are
on the
his-
gloves?
Yes,
these
he
are
fucking
his daggers.
passed on. That's what we've been.
Wait a
trying-
second. Wait,
Yes,
he passed on the
dude,
gloves?
you said it
Yes,
yourself.
we've been saying that for fucking 10 minutes in raid
There's like
chat.
50 things going on, okay? Which boss dropped the gloves?
It was Gar.
Gar? Okay, just give me a second. Let me look. Okay, here we go. We actually just like randomly clicked right to it.
We should
Okay.
do a reroll between Peach and Ozzy.
So
That's
Peach,
easy.
Fayette, and Ozzy roll.
That's for Core Houndstooth.
No, this is for the aged leather gloves.
Oh, okay, sorry.
He didn't even roll!
He passed, like Grenades passed.
This
passed.
should not go to grenades. He's out of it.
Why did you pass on... And those are best in slot for people that use daggers, right?
So like here, they're huge. Huge.
They're best like the entire expansion if you're dagger, I'm pretty sure.
Huge.
Yeah, Scubus just said it. He said he has double sword and maybe it was a pass to Fate since he came as dagger. That could have been his logic behind it.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
He doesn't have a second dagger. Are you sure he's not just bullshitting, man? Just to save face?
He said that he came as double sword set and maybe it was a pass to Fate myself because I came as dagger.
Okay, let me see what I said about the the Perdition Blade whenever I said to roll on it.
I've won 3 rolls and I had to give all of it away.
Sometimes you get it, and sometimes you get got.
Okay, when am I gonna get it?
I don't know. Alright, Perdition's Blade. Okay, here we go. A great item. An incredible dagger. This is again the same rolling. I would like to roll on this myself, but I will not roll on this because I will not roll on it. Grenades with the 99. So I never mentioned anything about the Core Houndstooth.
Didn't he say he had a dagger in the bank? Did he actually have a dagger?
Yeah, he said it's in the bank.
He said the same rolling, which was in context to the Core on Tooth, I believe.
Yeah, what the fuck does same rolling mean?
I think that was probably just like Asmongold gibberish. If Grenades intended on going daggers, he would have rolled on the gloves that gave him the opportunity to go daggers. Because they're apparently the best in slot gloves, is that right?
100%.
And he also said that he had a dagger in his bank. Do you guys remember that whenever he said that? Am I imagining things?
He said it.
He did. In right.
Please, just leave the group, leave the raid, invite Peach and Ozzy to the group, and have them roll.
They already rolled.
Wait. Is that gonna fuck it up with the trade?
No, it should be fine.
It has no.
Okay.
Hey there.
I mean, the reason I'm spurging out over this so hard is because it is huge. Like, I haven't
See you
complained
later.
about it.
We
There's
know.
been a couple things that's been fucked over on.
Peach, we get it. Okay, it's huge. Huge. Okay.
Good day to you.
But Ozzy needs it too.
That's fine.
See you
But
later.
I'm totally fine if he wants it.
Right off the bat, we fucked up, okay? Because whoever got that... We should have just given it to whoever got the fucking gloves. Like, that's just automatically, if you get the gloves, that's who it goes to. Because it's specifically for daggers.
As I
Yes,
mentioned-
Ozzy, I know you're using Edge Masters, yes.
No. There's a belt from Dire Maul that just came out that has +5 dagger skill. So like the gloves aren't necessarily mandatory to use daggers.
Does Peach have it?
What do you mean? I get +5 from my combat daggers, and I get +5 from the gloves. The gloves are the best place to put the extra ones.
Obviously,
Night Slayer
but
belt. Why would I replace Night Slayer belt with an item from Dire Maul?
I get that, but I'm just saying like you can get expertise from other areas too, rather than
you
the
can also
gloves.
get an offhand dagger that gives it. It doesn't mean that's the
Need
correct
help?
place to get it from.
Safe travels.
So grenades has Night Slayer, is that right?
See you around.
Yeah, Night Slayer gloves.
His Devil Star. No, he doesn't.
But he doesn't have Night Slayer gloves?
Who?
No, he doesn't. Or at least I don't see it. He doesn't have them equipped.
I have a question
he
though.
said
So
he'd have them if they dropped.
if I have Perdition's Blade and I'm the only dagger rogue, why did I have to roll on Core Hound?
Well, you shouldn't have. But starting next week, we're gonna do loot council, so this won't be an issue. Right from the get-go, it was fucked up, and this is why we're having to deal with this. Okay. So yes, you were. Okay, you were fucked a little bit, but we're trying to fix this issue right now. So relax, Fate. Okay. TTV.
Nah, I'm chilling, dude. I mean, I think Peach Pit definitely deserves it. If we're gonna talk about performance,
What can I do for you?
Peach Pit's been here from the start. He's definitely
Or
top
the Alliance. Need help?
I feel like...
Go with honor, friend. You need something?
Ozzy's DPS even without the dagger is like, it's gonna be stellar either way. He's a good player.
Looking for something
It's not like he needs
specific?
to be fed gear. He's a warrior. He's gonna do amazing DPS regardless. Peach, you know.
See you around.
Peach Pit, he's middle of the road player. He's all right. He's pretty good. He always shows up. He's loyal to the guild. He helps out whenever he's asked, and he's very prepared to go dagger. And he's got the gloves. I think we should give it to Peach.
If I may, if we were doing loot cancel, it would just be roll between the two. It'd be that simple.
Yeah, it should have been a roll
It'd be
between
fair for
Peach
both.
Pit.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, you should never get a Perdition Blade. I don't think that's a big deal. I mean, the thing is, like Ozzy, you're certain that Perdition's Blade is good?
Yes.
Does anybody else have any more input on this before I kind of make a decision?
I mean, I don't know. It feels. I know it's good for warriors. It just feels weird giving it to a warrior over Peach Pit, who already has a dagger glove plus another dagger.
That does.
What's your other dagger, Peach?
Bone Scraper.
Same.
So they both have the same dagger that they would get rid of or use. It's like, do we know for sure that Yeah, but we haven't seen any Oni weapons drop at all, right? Not a single one. That's the problem. Like, we haven't seen this.
Yeah.
We're about due for a fucking Oni weapon.
Yeah, we are.
So, I think here's what we should do.
Okay.
We should give this dagger to Peach, and if we get an Oni weapon, it should go to Ozzy. We should loot council it to Ozzy automatically.
Well, then Cass wants to have that.
Yeah, Cass
Yeah, then
but Cass is already.
I'd rather.
I mean,
roll off
Ozzy's
with
already getting
Ozzy.
fucked over right here, right? If we're loot counseling it to Peach here, then we should be fair to Ozzy and give him an Oni weapon.
Well, that's not fair to other people that are outside of the conversation, too. You're not the only 3 people that are involved with the loot.
If that includes Viscag, then I'd rather roll off with Ozzy on Perditions than deal with that. Cass.
Okay.
It means a lot to Cass to have Viscag. Like a shit ton.
So, if I may chime in. Do you have determined who your dagger rogues and sword rogues are?
I don't
because that's honestly that's step 1 of like avoiding this whole problem is making sure you have determined beforehand who's dagger rogue and who's a sword rogue. And you make them stick to it, because if you don't, then the rogues are they're conniving.
Well,
they're gonna just switch
of course they are. Of course they're conniving. Here's the thing. That he didn't roll on the gloves that give you dagger skill.
Right. So he clearly wasn't intending on going daggers until the weapon showed up. It's like this is a pretty common occurrence for rogue.
Yeah, and he doesn't really have like a very good secondary dagger either. It feels like rolling on the daggers was just convenient for him and not necessarily a plan, like you said.
Right.
I don't think grenades should be a part of this conversation. I think we fucked up by rolling it off. Okay. Now it should be a discussion between Peach and Ozzy.
Wait a second. So I don't think that I fucked up by rolling it off, because it's an understood expectation that you're going to roll on items that are for your main spec. And I don't think that I fucked up by calling a roll for something. I think that he fucked up by rolling on something that he's not supposed to use. Like, that's not my fault.
Okay, fine. Either way, it was a fuck up, okay? And we should have been using loot council from the start. But we didn't. We rolled it off, and it was a fuck up. It was a fucked up roll. We shouldn't have rolled it off. And Grenades is getting the short stick there.
Well, either way, right? So is Grenades a dagger rogue now, or is he sword rogue? Grenades,
He's still swords.
Is he in voice?
He's not able to get in.
Okay. So I would say right now, you ask Grenades, hey, what are you? You commit to it for the rest of your life, and you never change even after Classic is over. Are you sword or dagger rogue?
Peach is prepared to switch right now.
I feel like the commitment. I feel like the point where you would have done that, Esfand, I agree with you. But the point where you would have done that was at the gloves and not at the dagger.
Right, but I'm saying, so is he already? He's swords. He's already committed to swords.
He already has swords, and he did not roll on the gloves that gave you daggers.
Okay, so he is now a swords rogue. Peach is the other rogue, right?
Yeah.
And he's in voice.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you lie?
No.
No, Peach Pit has talked to me. Like we've had conversations.
Oh, okay.
He fully intends to go daggers.
So, in my opinion, if it's between Peach and Ozzy at this point, you should just give it to Peach, right? And he's your dagger rogue now, and Ozzy should be probably on a sword or something like a Viscag, whatever.
Well, see, that'd be great, right? I have no problem giving Ozzy priority on the first death ring, except for the thing is him is there. So if him is there, and then I guess we could just bring him into another raid.
Whoa, hold on.
Wait a minute. Can we?
Well, here's the thing.
Wait, that's fine. Just give me a second. What if we do this? Because we're doing multiple Onyxia. We're doing multiple Onyxia raids.
All right.
Well, I think.
Let me just get my opinion on here.
My bad.
So, what if we do this? Ozzy, do you think Deathbringer is better for you than Perdition's Blade?
At the end of the day, I only come to raid as Fury, so I can big dick it on the charts. It's PvE, bro. I could come as unarmed, and we'd kill the boss just as fast.
Yeah.
So I don't really give a shit. I don't care for drama.
I don't either. I mean, I think that it's like it's overcomplicating things. So, in a perfect world, I think that we could give the dagger to Peach. We could promise the first Deathbringer to Ozzy. And grenades can be committed to swords because he's clearly already been committed to swords, and we already.
Still,
we
I
already,
wouldn't take Deathbringer because I don't actually think it's better. Straight up.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Even as a main hand, it's 3.9. You don't think it's better?
No.
Him says on Classic Warrior DPS simulation spreadsheet, Deathbringer seems a bit higher than Purge for Gnome plus Edge Masters. You don't agree with that?
I don't think that's true.
You don't agree with that? Okay.
Does Ozzy have an Edge Masters?
I do,
yeah. So I do think that giving a gnome with Edge Masters Deathbringer is a good idea for distributing loot properly, and then you have a human warrior going swords. I think that's a good idea from a loot council perspective.
Yeah, but I also like. Is that equitable for everybody? Like, I don't know. Like Ozzy, the thing is that I don't want anybody to come out of this. What?
We're already doing split runs, right? Why can't we just separate them anyway?
That's what we're doing.
Just
That's
have
why I
them in
literally
different
said. I
groups.
said Hem can go in one raid, Ozzy can go in the other, and then there's no problem.
Okay, so, but he doesn't think that it's good for him.
No, Ozzy is not getting the first Viscag because I can't guarantee that to him because I already I told Cass that he can roll on at least the first one.
Fuck, dude.
Just give the dagger to Peach. I actually don't care because it's PvE, bro. I actually don't care about PvE at all.
Just give it to Peach, man.
I mean, do you really not care? Like, because I don't want it to be a situation where like you're like disappointed about it later.
Nah, bro. Honestly, the only thing I want is tank gear for PvP and the sword. That's it.
You want tank gear for PvP?
Yeah, the mic gear is pretty good.
Yep.
Will you like?
Yeah, tank.
Okay. Okay.
All right, there we go.
All right. Here's what we're gonna do. So, Ozzy, do you even care about Deathbringer at all?
I mean, obviously it's good, right? But in my opinion, I don't think it's the best. And it's probably second best, yeah. But
from a loot council perspective, would you hold out until another purd, or would you just take a Deathbringer if it drops?
I mean, the next perdition, right? Like, there's no one in line for it if you're gonna get it. You know, there's no other dagger rogues as of yet, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah, it works out just fine. But also, if Deathbringer does drop, would you roll on that, or can that be?
I don't think so. No.
Well, hold on. Why would you not want a Deathbringer? That like it's one of the best weapons in the game. And also, like you have how many rogues?
I don't know.
4 or 5 rogues probably.
We have 5 rogues and then 1 who joined on a little bit later. 5 have Abyssalists made for them.
Okay, so like it's about you want to reward people properly, right? You want to reward people properly for like effort and time invested and all this. You want to make sure that stuff is good for them, right? And then you also, another thing you want to factor in is like how can you spread out the loot amongst the guild to where you're not wasting stuff?
Yeah.
Right. I think if you have a gnome warrior with edge masters and you give him a perdition blade when you have other rogues in your guild who could go dagger rogue, and then you have a deathbringer getting wasted, is probably not a good idea.
Well, it will
I
never.
think...
The Deathbringer will never be